Have you ever felt something dark around a person, but couldn't explain why? A sudden heaviness, a strange discomfort, a feeling that something inside them is not human, not safe, not aligned with God. Chosen one. Those moments were not random. They were warnings. Quiet, urgent signals from heaven telling you, this person is carrying spiritual contamination. Be careful. Today, God is about to reveal why you felt that and what you must do next. Chosen one, pause for a moment and breathe, because what you're about to hear is not just information, it's revelation. God never leaves his children blind. Long before a threat touches your life, heaven senses it. And when someone near you carries demonic energy, your spirit reacts first. Not your logic, not your emotions, your spirit. That sudden heaviness you felt around certain people. That shift in your mood that came out of nowhere. That strange alertness that made you take a step back, even when everything looked fine. That wasn't paranoia. That was discernment waking up. That was God whispering, pay attention. Something here is not what it seems. And in this message, something powerful is about to happen inside you. You're going to discover the exact signs God uses to warn his chosen ones about people who appear harmless, kind, spiritual, or even supportive, yet carry intentions that drain you, confuse you, weaken your faith, or sabotage your destiny. By the time this video reaches its final words, you will finally understand why certain friendships suddenly collapsed, why specific people left you emotionally exhausted, why some relationships felt cursed from the very beginning, and why your spirit always sensed danger even when your eyes saw nothing wrong. That inner tension wasn't fear, it was protection. God is sharpening your discernment today, so you never again mistake a demonic presence for a good person, no matter how convincing the disguise may be. Before we go any further, I need you to anchor yourself spiritually in this moment. If this message is already stirring something inside you, if you feel that strange familiarity in your chest, that quiet knowing that God is about to expose something, then pause and do 3 things that will shift the atmosphere around you. Like this video to declare, I choose clarity over confusion. Subscribe if you haven't yet so your spirit stays connected to messages designed to protect your path, and comment 99 below. The number 99 represents the moment God leaves the 99 to rescue the one who is in danger. And today, if you are that one, heaven is coming for you. Let's begin. Chosen one, the most dangerous battles you face are not the ones happening around you. They're the ones happening inside you. And the very first warning God sends is never loud, never dramatic, never obvious. It comes as a subtle shift in your spirit, a quiet tremor in the atmosphere of your soul, before a person exposes their true intentions, before their mask slips, before their actions reveal what their words hide. Your spirit senses what your mind cannot yet decode. It begins with something as fragile as a feeling, but as powerful as a prophecy. You sit beside someone, and without any reason, your chest tightens. Your breath becomes shallow. Your peace begins to shrink as if the room suddenly lost oxygen. Nothing threatening has happened. No one raised a voice. No one said anything harmful. And yet, something inside you whispers, stay alert. Do not relax here. This is not coincidence. This is not insecurity. This is not overthinking. This is divine technology, the spiritual radar God embedded in every chosen soul. When someone carries demonic influence, your spirit recognizes the frequency before your emotions register the impact. Their presence feels like static in a clear signal. Their energy pulls instead of uplifts. Their aura feels heavy, distorted, misaligned with yours. You may feel your stomach tightening, your shoulders tensing, or your mind becoming unusually vigilant, as if your spirit is bracing for something your eyes have not seen yet. Chosen one, this is God protecting you in real time. Your spirit connected to heaven detects what the natural senses cannot. It senses the hidden motives, the suppressed jealousy, the spiritual contamination, the unspoken hostility. And because God honors your calling too deeply to let you walk into danger unaware, he lets you feel what you cannot yet understand: the uneasiness, the sudden shift in mood, the desire to distance yourself, the urge to leave the room, end the conversation, or pull back emotionally. These reactions are not random. They are warnings disguised as instincts, and yet so many chosen ones ignore these alerts. They convince themselves they're being dramatic, judgmental, or unfair. They silence their spirit to protect someone's feelings. They override divine signals because they don't want to seem rude or paranoid. But discernment is not judgment. Discernment is survival. It is God shielding you from emotional traps, spiritual ambushes, demonic assignments hiding behind friendly smiles. Pay close attention, because here lies a truth most people never learn. The enemy always arrives in silence first, not through conflict, not through exposure, through presence. And if the presence of someone causes your peace to vanish, your energy to drain, your spirit to recoil, heaven is shouting through your nervous system, "Look closer, something here is not from me." Your spirit is always the first battlefield God fortifies when danger approaches. It becomes restless so you won't become reckless. It becomes tense so you won't become trusting. It becomes alert so you won't become vulnerable. What feels like discomfort is actually revelation beginning to unfold inside you. And, chosen one, the moment you stop ignoring this inner shift, the moment you start honoring what your spirit feels instead of what people say, everything in your life begins to change. You start seeing people clearly. You start avoiding traps before they close. You start recognizing wolves before they put on sheep's clothing. You stop mistaking counterfeit peace for genuine connection. You step into a level of spiritual authority where nothing catches you off guard again. But here's where things become even more unsettling and even more powerful. Because once you acknowledge the first internal warning, God begins revealing signs that are far more visible, far more undeniable, and far more disruptive. And the next one? Chosen one. It exposes the very heart of those who cannot stand the light you carry. Are you ready? Chosen one. Spiritual darkness can pretend to be many things. Kind, humble, generous, supportive, but it can never pretend for long. Eventually, the mask cracks. Eventually, the truth leaks through the smallest expression, the slightest reaction, the subtle tightening of a smile that was never sincere. People carrying demonic energy cannot hide their true response to your calling, your growth, your light, because the light in you irritates the darkness in them. Your elevation exposes what they try to bury, and envy. Envy is always the first fracture in their disguise. At first, everything seems harmless. They compliment your progress, they laugh with you, they say the right things, but their spirit refuses to agree with their mouth. Their words rise, yet their energy sinks. Their tone softens, yet their eyes harden. Their encouragement sounds supportive, yet something in your soul whispers, "This is not real. This is not clean. Watch closely." And you begin to notice patterns that cannot be dismissed. They're present the moment you stumble, but mysteriously absent the moment you win. They respond instantly to bad news about your life, but fall silent when God blesses you. They joke about your dreams in ways that sting more than they amuse. They say they're proud of you, but their eyes flicker with something sharp, a resentment they can't hide. You feel the temperature shift. You feel the spiritual atmosphere tighten, and for the first time, you understand. Their friendship was never rooted in love. It was rooted in comfort. They liked you better when you were smaller. They liked you better when you were struggling. They liked you better when your victories weren't threatening their egos. Because the moment a chosen one rises, every hidden heart around them is revealed. Envy is not an emotion. It is an entry point, a spiritual doorway, a crack in the soul where demonic influence slips in quietly. When someone envies a chosen one, they open themselves to thoughts that don't sound like their own. Irritation at your blessings, bitterness at your growth, compulsive comparisons, silent prayers for your downfall, small wishes that your good news will somehow fade. They don't realize it, but their heart becomes a playground for dark whispers. And soon, they begin acting on impulses they can't explain. You share a victory, and they change the subject. You express gratitude, and they minimize it. You step into a blessing, and they suddenly need distance. You shine a little brighter, and something in them grows restless. This is not coincidence. This is exposure. The spirit inside them cannot celebrate what God is doing through you. It cannot honor what it secretly fears. It cannot clap for the person it was assigned to undermine. Every time God elevates you, the darkness within them panics because your blessing threatens their control, their illusions, their ego, their comfort, their sense of superiority. And here's a truth many chosen ones never want to face. Some people did not dislike you. They disliked your calling. Some did not envy your life. They envied your anointing. Some were not threatened by who you are. They were threatened by who you are becoming. Pay close attention to how people react when God moves in your life. Miracles expose intentions. Breakthroughs reveal loyalties. Favor unmasks motives. A heart that is truly aligned with God rejoices when He elevates someone else. But a heart influenced by darkness tightens, withdraws, or quietly resents the blessing they cannot control. And if you notice someone's energy shift every single time God lifts you higher, do not explain it away. Do not excuse it. Do not spiritualize it into something gentle. That shift is not random. It is the unveiling. It is heaven saying, now you see them clearly. Now you understand why your spirit never felt safe. Because envy is never just envy. It is a seed. It is a signal. It is a spiritual contamination waiting to grow. And when that seed takes root, something even more dangerous begins to form. A subtle resistance against your destiny. Not loud, not dramatic, not open, quiet, strategic, disguised as care, disguised as advice, disguised as concern, but designed to slow you down, drain your confidence, or hold you back. And chosen one, in the next stage of this revelation, you will learn how this resistance evolves into something far more unsettling. Something that doesn't just affect your emotions. It targets your spiritual strength itself. Are you ready to see the next layer of the mask fall? Chosen one. There is a kind of person whose presence feels like a slow leak in your soul. They do not shout, they do not attack, they do not expose themselves through obvious hostility. No, their influence is quieter, subtler, more corrosive. They drain you not through conflict, but through connection. And the moment you walk away from them, you feel it instantly. Your spirit is dimmer, your mind is heavier, your faith is shaken in ways you cannot explain. These are not ordinary interactions. These are spiritual transactions. And what they take from you is far more valuable than what they offer in return. People influenced by demonic energy function like spiritual parasites. They feed on what is sacred inside you, your empathy, your patience, your hope, your strength, your desire to help. They identify your compassion as an entry point. And once they have access, they begin pulling from you little by little until you no longer recognize your own emotional patterns. You start asking yourself, why do I feel so tired after talking to this person? Why do I feel guilty even when I did nothing wrong? Why does my peace disappear the moment they speak? These questions are red flags, and they never appear by accident. Every conversation with them leaves a residue. It clings to your mind like fog. You feel drained as if your energy is being siphoned. You feel confused as if your clarity is being scrambled. You feel guilty as if somehow everything becomes your responsibility. You feel emotionally heavy as if their burdens were quietly shifted onto your shoulders. And worst of all, you feel spiritually disconnected, as though the conversation built a wall between you and God instead of drawing you closer to Him. This is not emotional sensitivity. This is spiritual warfare, disguised as dialogue. Demonic influence does not always roar. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it hides inside seemingly innocent interactions that subtly alter your mindset. The enemy knows that if he can weaken your faith, he can weaken your purpose. And if he can weaken your purpose, he can weaken your destiny. So he uses people as tools, not to destroy you in one blow, but to erode you slowly, invisibly, through conversations designed to drain the fire God placed in you. Notice the pattern. Your attention becomes their nourishment. The more you give, the more they take. Your compassion becomes their leverage. They twist your kindness into obligation. Your spiritual vulnerability becomes their pathway. They sense your heart and aim straight for it. Conversation becomes manipulation. They open up only to pull you in deeper, never to heal, never to grow, never to transform, but to keep you emotionally tethered to their chaos. Advice becomes sabotage. They phrase their doubts as guidance, planting seeds that make you question your calling, your progress, your worth. Concern becomes control. They pretend to worry about you, but their concern always comes with conditions, limits, or guilt. You walk into the conversation full and walk out empty. You walk in clear and walk out cloudy. You walk in anchored in God and walk out spiritually shaken. This pattern is one of the most dangerous because it feels subtle, almost harmless, until you realize that every time this person interacts with you, your fire for God dims. Your motivation weakens, your prayer life drops, your focus scatters, your spirit feels tired. And without noticing it, you gradually lose connection with the very source of your strength. When someone consistently weakens your connection with God, that person is not aligned with heaven's agenda for your life. No matter how soft their voice, how emotional their story, how convincing their innocence, or how familiar their relationship may be with you. And here is the part most chosen ones struggle to accept. Some people are not sent to comfort you. They are sent to drain you. Some people are not attached to your heart. They are attached to your anointing. Some people are not drawn to your personality. They are drawn to your spiritual light because it feeds what they lack. But God is faithful. He will never allow this draining influence to continue without exposing the truth. And once you begin recognizing the spiritual exhaustion they cause, once you stop mistaking manipulation for vulnerability, once you stop seeing their chaos as your assignment, something inside you begins to break free. Because the moment you acknowledge this pattern, heaven shifts you into a deeper level of discernment, and suddenly you begin seeing motives, not words. You begin seeing spiritual intentions, not emotional disguises. You begin seeing the influence behind the person, not the person themselves. And chosen one, what you're about to discover next is even more unsettling, because draining conversations are only the first layer. When the darkness realizes you are no longer falling for emotional traps, it escalates. It targets your peace, your stability, your sense of safety. Are you ready to see how the battle intensifies in the next stage? Chosen one. There is a kind of warfare that does not begin with a warning, a reason, or a trigger. It starts the moment your presence enters the room. The moment your light brushes against the darkness inside someone else, their spirit shifts, even if their mind doesn't understand why. Your anointing disturbs what is unclean. Your purity irritates what is corrupted. Your spiritual authority disrupts whatever has been hiding comfortably inside them. And this invisible collision creates a very visible reaction. Sudden conflict. It begins subtly. A strange comment, a sharp tone, a misunderstanding that feels forced, unnatural, almost rehearsed. You say something innocent, and they twist it into offense. You try to help, and they accuse you of harm. You walk in with peace, and they confront you with hostility that makes no logical sense. It's as though your very existence becomes the spark for tension. And chosen one, that's because it is. Your presence confronts their darkness even before your words do. People influenced by demonic energy often cannot tolerate someone who carries divine assignment. Your spirit exposes what they are trying to hide. Without realizing it, they react defensively, aggressively, irrationally. They pick fights with you for no reason, because the spirit inside them is uncomfortable. They misunderstand your words intentionally because clarity would dismantle the darkness they host. They create tension where there was none because conflict weakens you, and weakening you is the enemy's first strategy. They accuse you of things you never did because accusation is the oldest language of the demonic realm. It is spiritual warfare masquerading as emotional conflict. Your kindness irritates them. Your peace unsettles them. Your growth threatens them. Your presence awakens their shadows. You are not the problem. You are the exposure. Demons cannot stay comfortable near someone who carries God's presence. They cannot survive in the atmosphere you bring. They cannot hide under the radiance you carry. Your light reveals what they would prefer to keep concealed. And when darkness is exposed, it fights back. Not subtly, not gently, instinctively, ferociously. Their words become weapons. Their tone becomes arrows. Their behavior becomes unpredictable. They try to push you away because proximity threatens their control. They try to discourage you because encouragement fuels your calling. They try to break you emotionally because a wounded chosen one is easier to manipulate than a confident one. This is why you attract conflict without trying. This is why you become the target in rooms you barely spoke in. This is why you are attacked while others are overlooked. Your anointing is magnetic. It draws the darkness out of hiding. And when someone becomes hostile without a logical cause, when their reactions defy reason, when their behavior feels disproportionate to the situation, understand something crucial. It may not be them. It may be the spirit operating behind them. A spirit that fears your authority. A spirit that recognizes God's mark on your life. A spirit that senses your rising power long before you do. Your existence threatens everything that spirit wants to maintain. But here is the revelation most chosen ones miss. The stronger your anointing grows, the louder the darkness reacts. The more God elevates you, the more hell becomes uncomfortable. The closer you get to your destiny, the more irrational the attacks become. You are not losing control. You are stepping into spiritual awareness. And if the attacks feel sudden, unpredictable, or undeserved, it's because the enemy can no longer hide within the people he once used silently. Your presence is now too strong, your discernment too sharp, your spirit too awake. Darkness cannot maintain disguise around someone who has stepped into spiritual sight. But this sudden conflict is not meant to break you. It is meant to reveal the enemy's desperation. because when darkness reacts violently, it means light has already won. And chosen one, what comes next will shift this entire battle into a divine turning point. Because after the conflict exposes the enemy, God himself steps in, and the separation becomes unavoidable. Are you ready for the moment where heaven disrupts everything to protect your destiny? Chosen one. There comes a moment in every spiritual battle when God stops whispering warnings and begins reshaping your reality. When you overlook the discomfort, when you excuse the envy, when you carry the draining conversations, when you endure the sudden conflict. God intervenes in a way that feels nothing like protection at first. It feels like loss, like confusion, like everything is slipping out of your hands. But in heaven's language, disruption is often deliverance dressed in unfamiliar clothes. When someone carrying demonic influence stays too close for too long, God will not negotiate your destiny. He will not risk your calling. He will not let your purpose be tangled in spiritual contamination. So what does he do? He begins creating distance, not emotional distance, but divinely engineered separation. Suddenly, the bond starts to loosen. Conversations become strained. The rhythm between you shifts. You don't feel as connected, and you can't explain why. What you're feeling is God pulling you out of the spiritual trap you didn't realize you were inside. Then the disruptions begin. Sudden arguments that come out of nowhere. Misunderstandings that feel strangely intentional. Moments of miscommunication that unravel the connection. Doors closing between you and them at the exact moment you thought things were stabilizing. It feels inconvenient. It feels painful. It feels like everything is breaking for no reason. But, chosen one, heaven does not break things without purpose. When God steps in, he removes not just the person, but the influence behind the person. He dismantles the access the enemy had to your emotions, your mind, your confidence, and your faith. He cuts spiritual ties that were draining your strength, and he does it in a way you cannot ignore. Sometimes he creates opportunities that take you far away from them. Sometimes he exposes truths you weren't looking for. Sometimes he shuts doors you desperately wanted open. Sometimes he forces an ending that feels too abrupt to make sense. But endings engineered by God are never random. They are rescue missions. What looks like chaos is actually divine clarity. What feels like heartbreak is actually heaven safeguarding your spirit. What appears to be rejection is actually redirection. And when the separation becomes painful, when you cry, when you feel abandoned, when you don't understand why everything fell apart, God speaks silently but unmistakably to your spirit. If they stayed any longer, they would damage your destiny. He removes them because you couldn't. He exposes them because you wouldn't. He protects you even when you don't realize you are in danger. Chosen ones often confuse divine disruption with personal failure, but the truth is far more supernatural. When destruction is approaching your life through a person, God cuts the cord before the enemy completes his assignment. He lets relationships collapse because your purpose cannot afford contamination. He lets friends drift away because their presence was draining your anointing. He lets good connections disappear because they were never good spiritually. And he lets painful endings occur because pain is often the only language strong enough to make you walk away. And here is the deeper revelation. When God removes someone, he also removes the spiritual weight they carried. Pay attention. Your thoughts clear. Your peace returns. Your energy rises. Your connection with God strengthens almost instantly. Your spirit feels lighter, freer, more stable. You begin to understand that what you called love was actually warfare. What you called friendship was actually infiltration. What you called connection was a spiritual attack disguised as closeness. And once God removes them, you realize the truth. You didn't lose anything. You escaped something. But chosen one. This is only the beginning of what God is doing. Because after the removal comes something far more powerful. A moment where everything you've learned, everything you've seen, and everything God has opened your eyes to converges into one final revelation. And this revelation will not just expose the darkness around you. It will activate the warrior inside you. Are you ready for the truth that transforms everything? Chosen one, breathe, because something sacred is happening inside you right now. This is not just the end of a message. This is the beginning of a new level of spiritual consciousness. Your eyes are being opened in ways they were never opened before. The weight you carried, the confusion you wrestled with, the strange discomfort you felt around certain people, none of it was random. Everything you sensed but couldn't articulate, everything your spirit tried to warn you about, Everything that felt off without explanation, it all finally makes sense. God was never punishing you. God was never abandoning you. God was protecting you long before you realized you needed protection. Chosen one, heaven has just activated something in you, a discernment that sees beyond words, beyond smiles, beyond appearances. You now walk with a sharpened spiritual instinct, an ability to detect danger before it reaches you, to feel contamination before it touches you, to sense deception before it speaks to you. This discernment is not a gift you requested. It is a mantle placed on those who carry destiny. From this moment forward, you will move differently. You will identify spiritual danger before it wraps itself in good intentions. You will recognize contaminated energy the moment it enters your space. You will walk away from people God never assigned to your story, without guilt, without hesitation, without fear. You will guard your purpose with wisdom, authority, and holy confidence. No more falling for masks. No more confusing manipulation with love. No more giving access to those who were silently working against you. No more walking blind into spiritual traps. Your spirit will speak before harm arrives, and you will trust it this time. Chosen one. This awakening marks the end of spiritual naivety and the beginning of spiritual mastery. You are no longer someone who merely survives battles. You are someone who anticipates them, someone who recognizes the enemy before the enemy recognizes your strength, someone who walks with the awareness of heaven and the authority of a warrior. And now, to seal this revelation in the spiritual realm, to anchor it in your destiny, declare it out loud, and type it boldly in the comments as a prophetic act of alignment. God, open my spiritual eyes and protect my path. When you declare this, you are not just speaking. You are stepping into a new spiritual identity. You are telling heaven you are ready. You are telling darkness you are no longer deceivable. You are telling your future that you are prepared to walk into it with clarity, strength, and supernatural protection. Chosen one, your discernment has just leveled up. Walk with confidence, because now you see. Walk with clarity, because now you know. Walk with divine protection, because heaven goes before you. And never forget, those who carry the light are never outnumbered. They are simply unmatched.